news. All right.
Okay, let's get started with the, I'm sorry, can we go in order? Do you need to do something differently?
No,
Okay, we'll go with Eisenhower first. So tell us what's going on at Eisenhower.
Okay, I'll start with the update. Currently in, this is Area A over here. The general contractors, he's digging and putting piers in, pouring concrete footers and stuff like that. He's over in this area. This is probably the wettest area. This is where the water retention pond is, and so he's fighting a lot of water.
It's right beside the creek.
Yeah, right next to that fence. So he's right in here. So they're working this right now.
So they're digging and pouring the same day they dig, so that they don't have to over dig. So,
Yeah, that's correct. So
and then they're throwing the rebar in and pouring and.
they gotta get load bearing. There's a guy from Earth Tech there, a third party inspector. He's there making sure that they got the load bearing that they need in this area. Well, he's been there right along because they've just been fighting the water. Well, I have a basic fun fact I heard over the weekend. We've had 7.5 inches of rain in the last 2 weeks, so they're fighting water. But they have a third-party administrator, or a third-party inspector there. It's called Earth Tech. He's overseeing everything. As they get load bearing, they get it ready and they pour. This week the plan, well, last week they did pour a few days. This week they're gonna have a concrete truck there every day at 1 o'clock. That's the plan unless the weather totally turns south where we can't do it. They did pour today.
Yeah, and then they pour nine yards, whatever that is, open up or so.
Yeah.
Call it a job.
Yeah, whatever they gotta open, they order so much every day. Sometimes it's one truck, sometimes it's two, depending on what they have prepared. As soon as they can get it in, get it poured and get it in, covered, they do it, so.
Don't worry about that getting flooded after the concrete sets up. That's the best cure is if it rains and it floods, that's a good wet cure.
Yeah, yep, and they cover it at night too.
Yeah,
Keep
and
it warm.
the dirt underneath the footing doesn't get sloppy.
Well, they have to put gravel in and they have to get compaction. This is part of what Earth Tech is.
Yeah, they're over digging and then getting compaction.
Well, they're not all over digging. There
Okay.
is some over, but they are, as you saw, I think there's some change orders. Yeah, there has been some. So to prevent the over digging, we've had Earth Tech there right along to prevent that, to keep that from try to prevent that over digging. There is some over dig, but not a lot. As soon as they get bearing, they put gravel down, or they put it's a 2B gravel mix, and they compact it so they can get bearing and move on and get the rebar in, tie it, and pour. So that's what's going on in this area right now. Area B, which is basically here to here. Let's see. Sheet metal's got the VAV boxes all hanging. They finished those up last week. There is a bathroom. This is not quite right, but we changed some of the, where there's a bathroom in this area. And there's a vestibule in here, and we have a panel boxes going in here. They were supposed to be out in the hallway. We decided to move them inside so they wouldn't be messing up the flow of students and they'd be out of the way a little bit. So the electrical contractor's been getting that panel roughed in, plus the conduit running down through the hallway. The overhead conduit is going down through the hallway. So that's what they're working on, putting up hangers and such. The general contractor in Area B, they're doing window frames, which are all installed, and also blocker bases, which are all done. This is all done in here. It's all roughed in. Now, I do have a picture. I don't know if you guys got this or not, but if you look here, this is what the frames look like. This is on the north side of Area B, which is this area right here. And they got some of these windows put in here also. They're all roughed in, and can't remember the name of the contractor. Glass erectors. They've been putting in the frames here. So that's been a work in progress. Plus they're bouncing around back, with what frames they have and where they can get things done. So that pretty much covers B. C. So C is from about right here on up to here. There's an addition in this area. So the plumbers are working in the crawl space, putting in your sanitary piping and stuff. And there's got to be lines and stuff to go in here underneath the old multi-purpose room. They're roughing a lot of that in. This area here has all been roughed in. your sanitary, your storm leaders, stuff like that's all been roughed in. They got the piers poured. They're currently, right now, today, they're getting plastic down, prepping that slab for concrete. And the steel for this area, I believe, is coming the 22nd of the month for this area. It will be showing up on site on the 22nd.
Good.
Do you know when the steel for that area would be?
This area here, this building still has arrived. It's on site already. It's already staged. Well, I can't show you on this drawing, but it's staged over with the playground.
Okay,
It's
so
already,
that steel already is here.
that steel is here. This steel will be here. They're telling me it'll be here the 22nd.
When do they plan on erecting that?
Well, they're still putting, they gotta finish this.
Yeah.
They gotta finish
A
your,
couple weeks?
I would say, depending on weather, they're about halfway. I'd say 2 to 3 weeks. I can get you an
That's
answer,
okay. It's okay. Yeah, yeah.
but this,
Okay. But the steel's here. That's a good thing.
that is correct. That is correct. They unloaded it a couple of weeks ago, about a week ago. General additions. Oh, there's a library right in here where there was an old bathroom in here in this area. It was demoed. The floor is all uneven and they're going over and fixing all that, trying to they're gonna get it leveled out so they can have a decent floor for the library. So that's another, they're prepping that for that area there. That pretty much covers C. They did do some pouring today for these piers. This one was really deep. They had to go deep. That was by design for some reason. I don't know what, it was deep. And this one wasn't too bad. And like I said, the rough ends are all in place. Your sanitary and your storm lines are all complete there. And they're prepping they're doing slab prep there. Area D. Area D is this area south. This is you have 2 additions in this area. So sheet metal's putting in ductwork in this area. They're putting ductwork in. The electrical, they're doing wall rough ends, and there's some panel boxes in here. They're roughing those in as we speak. They're putting your outlets in and putting in conduit, cable trays, stuff like that. So they got electricians working here and here, and in B and D. Let's see. Electrical general, the water retention where your parking lot's gonna be, that's over here. They've been working on that right along. They've got, the piping is in. They've got, I couldn't tell you how many tons of gravel in there, 2B gravel. And they've been working on that right along in that area. They've had that dug out and I couldn't even tell you how much gravel's in there. There's tons and tons of gravel, along with a lot of large piping to handle all the runoff from this part of the building, from their storm drains, So, so the look ahead for the sheet metal, they're going to be doing ductwork install in C and D. Look ahead for the plumber, he's going to do water and sanitary piping and rough ends in area C. He's going to be working in this area right here. Today they were setting hot water tanks in the mechanical room. The electrical, they're going to install overhead conduit and rough end branch conduit in B and D. They're going to continue with what I just talked about in this area and that area. And the general contractor are going to pour slabs in area C up there. And then we got this area here, your addition D, D West and D South, they got slabs to pour. Plus there's the old stage, and doesn't really show it on here, but right here is where there used to be a garage door for maintenance or whatever. They got those floor joists in, and that's prepped once we get the cement finishers in. They're running behind because they're fighting the same thing we are, weather. So I'm expecting them this week, if not next, to be coming to pour those slabs. That's my expectation. We'll see how that goes. Let's see. Electrical, general pour slabs. Let's see. Structural steel. The structural steel, there it is. Will be on site for C. Will be 422. They're going to continue working footers and piers, and foundations are going to start eventually once they get more of these done, so they can have enough work for the masons to put foundation, putting your block in. That'll start here, and they're going to begin that. And They do have, this, like I said, they do have the steel for this. And like I said before, the steel for this area will be arriving on the 22nd. As far as the schedule goes, everybody's on schedule. I talked with them to see, now that we did have a delay, but they're doing their best. They're all on schedule. The only contractor, or the only one didn't want to comment was the electricians. They didn't want to comment on that, so. Today, latest and greatest, Gardner's going to be on site tomorrow. Gardner is your control contractor. Since we got the VAVs in, we're at the point where we could start having your controls, thermostats, stuff like that. They're going to be coming on site tomorrow. I did report to you earlier. I think they were going to be on site, like I was told 2 weeks ago. They didn't come. The control valves haven't been shipped. Well, they have been shipped to Rennick's shop. They got to go through them and inventory them and everything. So I got a call this afternoon from Mark Thomas. He said that you got Gardner will be on site tomorrow with 3 or 4 guys. And also, we had talked earlier about some asbestos removal in this area right here. This is the top. This is in the crawl space. We got some pipe running right through this area around this perimeter. Has some asbestos on. In the crawl space, there's a doorway that has to go in. They have cut it out, but we got to remove the asbestos so they can remove the pipe so you have access there. And also, there's some ductwork that's in this area, and there's some pipe that has to be removed in that area, so we're going to have asbestos removed there. I was told by Scott from AGX they will be on site tomorrow, 3 p.m. They're going to work in the afternoon off shift, so they're not interfering with anybody. And that is, the water meter I have no information on. I contacted K&K today. He said no information. They haven't got nothing back from their fire protection contractor to give us an answer.
But the vault, that's all the vault was in place.
The vault is in place, and there's a spool piece between 2 valves where that meter would go. So, and it's all been backfilled and everything like that. So we're just waiting on an answer from K&K for that meter. That's all I have. Does anybody have?
Have anything to add? You've been going to these meetings.
Yeah.
Jared?
No, the vault was one thing, but you answered the asbestos. That was your answer. Anything with those panels, like the problem we ran into with those panels in that, with being in the hallway, sticking out, and we had to move them.
The electrical panels?
Yeah. Is there any problem with the ones they're working on in that south wing?
In this area right here?
No, we figured that out.
Yeah. Oh, you mean down here?
Yeah,
No, so far they're out of the way.
they're good.
Yeah, everything's working out well there. That seems to be just fine. I haven't heard no complaints, no issues.
And then anything for more with, as far as when they're gonna start the roof or?
Well, I can tell you this, they're getting 8 tractor trailer loads of insulation tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow, Wednesday. So that'll be on site tomorrow. They're starting to get the material in for that, so I'll have a job meeting tomorrow. We can ask them that.
Yeah, that's it.
Jared, anything?
We've been working with the playground company to finalize that with some more inclusive pieces, and I think that's done. So JC Orr is ordering that, but
And then the kitchen, what about the kitchen? Because the last meeting, some of the contractors wanted to see the layout of the kitchen and the equipment and that sort of thing. Did they-
the as like the spec
Rough
sheets
ends as,
and all that. The kitchen company now has access to Nuforma or whatever the architects use to send specs, so he would need to get access to that to get the specs, and I think that was taken care of last week, so they should be now, everybody should be communicating together.
that's my understanding too. Yep, that's correct.
Jared, would you send me the playground equipment that's been selected?
Mhm.
My concern is that the playground industry, they do inclusive at 50% accessible. And I just want to back check and make sure that inclusive playground is actually inclusive.
I mean,
I understand.
from the original specs, we completely changed it up. We met with a
Yeah,
guy.
And we learned a lot from over here.
Right, that's
Yeah,
what
if
the
you'd like me to take a look at it,
chairman
I'd be happy to.
Yeah, nope, I can send it to you. I mean, I can tell you the guy who came on site to meet with us from the playground company,
Mhm.
his son has been disabled his entire life. So he completely understood what we were looking for and
When
greatly
you said all
appreciate.
inclusive, you meant all
We got
inclusive.
a
There's
wheelchair
no
swing,
barrier.
there's everything.
Yep,
we
I can,
Yeah, got it all. Tara and I worked
That's
on it,
wonderful,
and, yeah.
When I first ran into this problem, I was just stunned that they would say all inclusive and then only have half of the equipment being actually usable by people that are handicapped. Okay, good. Anything else we need from Larry? Larry, it's a nice report. Thank you.
Do you want to, I got a couple of pictures if you're interested.
if those are the ones you sent the other day, I mean,
Yeah.
you can certainly send them around, but I forwarded them on to
They have
the
it.
board.
Well, the board has them.
Okay, so I can go over them real quick and so you got the first picture is a picture of, it's in the front of the school. It has the window frames already mounted in by glass erectors. There's two pictures there. Gives you two different, because it's a long building, it required two pictures. Third picture is a example of a pier that they've been working on. You can see how, the depth of it. That one isn't really that deep. Well, there's concrete in here, but you can see what they're dealing with there. Just to give you an example. And then the last one, this is a rod. This is an iron worker tying rod. This is what they do. This is right after a pour. This is probably next day they were getting ready to pour these piers. So that's an example of what they're dealing with there. So what happens when it floods? You got this all gets flooded in there. They got to pump everything, get it dried out, and then what will happen eventually is there's going to be block in here. That's where your foundation block are going to go. Where these single piers are, or single rebar are, that's what's going to wind up in there. It's going to be a block wall in there. So
Any problems with ceiling heights? Are there any conflicts that are pushing this, that are impacting ceiling?
there was an RFI sent in by Nate from Rennick. It was over going in, let me see where, it would have been in this area right here. They were trying to get some ceiling heights here, and I think they got it worked out. My understanding is the RFI came back. I saw a quick drawing so anyhow, it came back, my understanding it came back pretty quick. So I think they worked out that ceiling height, because there was a problem with ductwork and an I-beam, they wouldn't all work, so they had to change the ceiling heights. I believe this is also where the electrical panels are and ductworks. There's a lot going on right there. So I believe this height is going to be around 8 feet in this area. Don't quote me on that. I can verify that if you'd like me to.
But not 7'2" or anything like that?
No. To my knowledge, everything is either 8 foot or higher.
Okay,
So
great.
to my knowledge. And
Okay.
then this area, they're starting to work in where the old kitchen was. There's the sheet metal they're getting set up in there, and they're starting to work on that ductwork in there. And that was something that I don't know, maybe I'm jumping ahead.
That's
Oh, you
you
got
got
it
a fairly
on
low ceiling in that kitchen and stuff.
Yeah.
In that
Yeah,
whole
but
kitchen.
that's
but-
where we have storage and kilns and things like that, so. But when you say fairly low,
8 feet, I think.
it's still 8
right,
feet.
On the Larry's.
Yeah, I don't believe there's nothing less than 8 feet there, at least nothing I'm aware of at this point.
Yeah, one foot, we're pushing it down.
Um,
Okay, good. You have spiral duct in the art and steam room now, so that means the ceiling's going to be up high with the spiral duct below that.
Yes.
And color needs to be selected. Does our architect have a recommendation on the color?
I can't answer that.
Is it pink or purple?
I don't think they do. I mean, I think it's basically up to us, whatever.
Yeah, I
They were, I think he was okay with black or red.
Yeah.
For, this is for what now?
just
In the steam and probably art room
What is
too.
the ductwork in the multi-purpose room, that ductwork's gonna be exposed.
How big is that and is it 2 lengths or just one?
I don't know the extent of the ductwork or the size. I know there's gonna be, I think the ceiling height's gonna stay at
Above the windows? 16
yes,
feet or
that's
so.
correct. And you're gonna see, what you will see from my
Yeah, what color?
understanding is you're gonna see ductwork in there. And it's gonna be hanging on aircraft cable. And then you're gonna have lights in there below the ductwork to light that area up. So that's all gonna be exposed. So you got
I think he was saying 12 feet maybe to the bottom of the duct or something like that, 12.6 or 12.
Yeah, something, I don't know the exact
But
height. I'd have to-
but the ceiling's above the windows, above the
Yes.
high windows.
Yes,
Yes.
Yeah, that's gonna be a nice space.
Yeah.
So what color you want the duct?
Red. Be my-
What's the accent color wall in that, in those spaces?
It's like yellow.
Is that?
yeah, there was, you were, yeah. How,
It's like a
I'm gonna,
or gold.
Wasn't it yellowish? It was yellow,
What
yeah.
is it?
it's this area.
So that's the red.
No.
So if you-
not
So
Not
the
red.
ductwork's black, it'll look like
This is
Steelers,
bad.
and if
This
it's
is bad.
ductwork's red, it'll look like.
So we don't know that.
Oh, it's Chalmers.
There is a team where
Chiefs, Kansas City Chiefs.
Kansas City.
I mean, I personally don't care. We're talking about the ductwork on the ceiling. Is there any architectural reason why we wouldn't want
Black's
it?
gotta make it look lower.
Black would make it look more confined, you
Well, yeah, it also depends on whether there's one or two of them.
It's
I think you're gonna see several pieces of duct there.
yeah, it's a,
It's a
You're gonna see a
system.
huge
It's a
there's a
system.
trunk line and then there's gonna be, feeders
There's an
off of that
airhead.
and stuff.
I do yellow.
They can paint it any color. Rennick will paint it in their shop, he said. So
know?
Well, I was
When do
asked-
we need to decide by?
I think pretty soon.
They did ask me at the last foreman's meeting on Wednesday, they asked me if we knew a color, if we had picked a color on it. And I think there was something else.
We need to, it's on here too, is
Oh.
the duck sock in the gymnasium.
So he
Where
said,
has the
pick a
color?
Sherwin-Williams
Would we like-
color and they'll paint it.
Julia, the Sherwin-Williams color for the accent?
Yeah.
What was the
Don't
red
tell me
color?
she don't like it.
No,
The Rennick guy, the HVAC guy, said, just pick a Sherwin-Williams color and give me a number.
Well, we have a yellow.
Yeah, we do.
And we have a red.
Yeah, but that red's cardinal red. It's gonna be like headache red if you use a
So
lot of
this
it.
is the steam room and the art room,
It's a big room. I mean, it's a pretty big room.
up
I
high.
vote for yellow. I vote for our yellow, that's all.
You want to do a poll of the board at the next meeting,
Yeah,
yellow or red? And we can do the same decision on the duck sock in the. in the
our yellow
gymnasium.
is.
I mean, the duck sock in the gymnasium is red or
This.
Is
Put it
black.
is it gonna collect dust and get?
Yeah.
That's why they wanted it a
That's
little
the
bit
problem
darker.
with black.
That's,
Right.
well, that's the problem with any color.
So maybe like gray.
Well, that's better
That's
than
so,
red or
that's such a
black.
banker decision.
I'm just saying something that like.
I'll tell you.
I don't know.
Yeah, now Cheney's is retired, so he's not worried about getting up on top and dusting it off every day.
What
Well,
about a
grays are
charcoal,
safest bet.
charcoal
Yeah,
gray
some
color?
color.
but the sock is, you don't paint it, it's a fabric, right?
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
eventually you need to
I mean,
dust it.
I should have brought it with me. I mean, that's a.
The soft,
If-
stock colors, anything other than stock colors, there's enough
Yeah,
choice.
but there's stock colors, it doesn't have to have the stock colors.
Wasn't it like banana cream or something?
I want to say, yeah, but I don't have my thing in front of me, so I don't,
I erased my,
yeah, I don't, it's at my desk, and I'm sorry.
The soft colors.
Sounded like Jared was going for a sample of it there.
He's leaving, he's had it. He's heading home
we got
from
him,
Mo.
we took forever.
Think Larry.
If-
Obvious.
I'm gonna throw this into the mix. If you didn't want it painted, it would be, it would look silver or galvanized, like galvanized.
Which I think is nice.
Industrial, I like that.
It's a galvanized, and I
Maybe a
mentioned that
galvanized
Rennick
like
guy, and I sort of thought he said, you don't want to do that.
Well.
Because it
you
saves
don't
some
wanna do
money.
it. Well, yeah, it's.
I don't know how difficult this is gonna be. I thought that could be
I don't think it should be difficult.
a solution.
Just do it
Yeah,
yellow.
it's a,
Oh, okay.
There's a nine colors.
What did he say?
Yeah.
I'm not joining. I got it.
See that one down on the bottom
the
there?
tan beige is one you like, not the yellow.
I don't mind either. Or the gray, the gray there
And
is
this,
fine.
this would be for the
That's
gymnasium.
Is that sock or is that
Better
This
than
is
spiral?
black or
soft.
red.
This is sock.
There's also the gray, the gray underneath it, the stone khaki, I guess you'd call it, right by the green.
They have a light, yeah, it's a light gray,
It's nice.
and they have a tan beige.
They're both nice, I think. And they don't show dirt as much as black.
Do we have a recommendation?
What's Dr. Schaefer's call?
No.
You put something in the chat.
I don't know. I have a feeling nobody likes the yellow. so-
Is yellow, you know,
Yellow might just show the dirt real fast. That's all my worry.
Black
see
or
that.
red.
Black or red.
So it's cool color.
All right, so okay, my second choice would be the
Yeah.
light gray.
this is for the gymnasium, not the art room.
Okay.
The art room, I do like the metal
Gray's
duct.
not, gray's gonna be
And
open.
when I've done this, I've spent as much on the metal duct as I have in painting. So we do a lot of spiral duct because it's substantially less expensive than painting.
It's not gonna show dirt either.
So for the spiral, are we just saying
So that would be one of the choices.
What's your choice?
Spiral could be metal, just not unpainted. We're gonna look a little industrial. Were those two rooms? Okay, that'll be the recommendation, and we can talk about it in the board if we want to do that.
Let's
Say that
allot
again.
45 minutes for that discussion.
Say that
You
again,
should
Tom.
have the ability to make that decision on.
I agree.
Say that again, Tom.
He said leave it. leave it
Spiral
as
ducts
is.
will be left
Then
metal.
they
Galvanized.
can
Or
always
paint them
paint.
red or black.
No,
No,
no. My motion is to leave it metal. Leave it
Okay,
industrial looking,
okay.
okay? Okay? Is that-
Now, and then the board will decide.
No, no, we're gonna not give it to the board because we don't want to we want to get home before 11.
We haven't had the board. The board hasn't been voting on paint colors, anything like that.
They've been wanting that, they've been
Aaron,
asking
Buildings and
for
Grounds
this for
Committee.
a while.
I like this, the galvanized, just the plain metal.
And we do the red duct
Walter
sock.
likes that too, correct?
What color is the duct sock
And-
at the gymnasium?
Red.
Have you had any trouble with it? Fine.
Except
What
it's
color?
slightly obnoxious.
Isn't it great?
No, I'm not
What?
a big believer in a lot of red. I think it's an accent, not a, like,
Yeah,
that's,
it is. It's just gonna be a little strippy thing going down the ceiling.
Right.
Just a little strippy.
it's too distracting.
I move that we do red duct sock at the gymnasium.
Dr. Schaefer votes red or black.
Well, that does it then.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we already threw black out because it gets too dirty. So it's gonna be red.
Dr. McCollum, we got a good idea for the STEAM art center. Why don't we let the art teachers, STEAM teachers decide?
Because I'd like to make the decision in
Because
my
the
lifetime.
decision won't be made.
I can make that decision tomorrow. I
You
mean,
make the decision.
If there's any objection, let us know. They have a week to voice their displeasure.
okay. Follow up with that.
Okay, is that fair enough?
Well, am I clear to tell them the decision tomorrow at our meeting?
We have a job meeting tomorrow.
I understand. Can we do that? Walter?
The board hasn't voted on any other colors.
I know.
Well, good, and then I'm good with letting
Okay,
it,
don't bring it up then. Make the decision and go.
Red in the gym and galvanized out.
And Jim, and if
Correct.
Jim Schaefer says red socks, then for God's sakes, it's gonna be red socks. And that could be our
Where's Jim
mascot.
Schaefer?
and then let the art teachers weigh in on the,
For the Eagles.
No, nothing, we're done. We're done, we're
Color is
moving
the
on.
most divisive.
Change
Oh, never
orders,
mind
that's
then.
next. How we doing?
Maybe you should move to the next agenda.
I did, change orders.
We have no change orders to discuss
was-
tonight
Yeah, we haven't already discussed.
that we haven't already discussed.
What's the total amount of change orders?
It is, there's an attachment to the piece there. The total as of everything we have approved is 274,205.23.
And there's 782,000 remaining
Yes,
in the contingency.
from what we budgeted for.
I expect you to protect that with your life. So at the end of it, 775 at the end of the project.
Okay.
Okay. We'll buy you a new hat or something.
but from a practical point of view, Tom, we're certainly gonna get to a point here before too much longer where the chances of big change orders is gonna get smaller and smaller.
Well, we're already to that point. Okay, we're finding a little bit of asbestos. We're finding a little bit of over excavation. Okay, there shouldn't be much left in that building. They don't know.
Because they've got it torn open enough now that
Yeah.
if anything that they should have discovered, they should have discovered by now.
Yeah, and we need to keep ourselves under control without making changes. But I think with what we've been doing so far, we're way ahead of that. So we don't anticipate it.
That answers your question, Walter.
Okay,
That answers Walter.
Yeah.
okay, so we can move on.
Yes.
Can Larry go home?
Good.
You good?
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, you can stay.
Run,
You can
run,
stay.
run. Before he changes his
I'm gonna
mind.
put this back where it belongs.
Okay, and having the map there when you're describing things was really useful.
Very helpful.
Yeah, it was a good presentation, thank you. Okay, so we have Horace Mann repurposing, let's skip that one, save that one to the end, so you can. Yeah.
Nothing on TV tonight, doesn't matter.
Okay, so what is that all about? Is that you,
It is.
Mr. Green?
It is indeed, yeah. We have a follow-up. I don't know if you have something prepared or.
Just, I had some notes here that Deb and Jackie and I had exchanged some thoughts after the open house on the April 2. We put together a brief survey for the what we consider to be the organizations or groups. There were 6 different groups that did sign in that were contacted then with what we call a mini survey. We haven't received any follow-ups from those emails yet. We also decided there were some people who were just residents, taxpayers. They said they wanted to come and take a look at the building. We thought, at the very least, we should reach out to those people and just ask them 2 very simple questions. Do you have any impressions or thoughts to share now that you've toured the building? And if you could offer the school board one piece of advice at this time, what would it be? So, we wanted just to give everyone who took the time to go through the building to at least offer some kind of response. So we'll be collecting those comments hopefully over the next couple of weeks for you. And the other thought we had is just, even though there were 6 different organizations or groups there, but we've asked it before, we want to ask again, if there's anyone else that you wish to have contacted, if there's some other organization, some other person of interest that you think that we need to reach out to, please let us know. And we can do that. And we can also give them the same type of survey questions to go along with the other groups. Again, I thought we had a nice, evening. Even though we had 4 hours of time, we probably could have gotten by with about 3 hours or 30 minutes and minus the 3 hours and 30. But anyhow, no, really, we had I think, good questions from the people who took a little bit of a guided tour. People who took the self-tour, came back and either made some comments or questions before they left. So again, I think you accomplished what you set out to do by having the open house. And again, even though this has been in play for quite a while, it was good to get that additional bite of the apple, so to speak, to give people a chance to stop by and look at the building.
Rod, would you, I agree with you that, it needs to be open for a little bit longer for other interested parties that may want to have a tour or ask questions. Do you have a recommendation, or Jackie would have a recommendation as to how long we can leave that window open? Because at some point it's got to close.
Yeah.
Because we're going to have to kind of move on at some point. So
I don't have a specific comment from them, but I think when we were first talking about this, we were looking at kind of this in phases, 30-day phases. So if you think about it, we're kind of looking at by the end of April. If people have an interest to go through, I think that should be our cutoff point. We're going to do follow-up emails to the people who were already contacted and kind of go from that point. I mean, if someone has some issue that they want to get in there, I'm sure that there'll be a way to make that arrangement. But we want to keep the interview process going and like I said, look at the other parts of the proposed study. Yeah.
So I'm wondering, Rob, whether or not, number one, we shouldn't maybe put out a small press release or a news item saying that, we're asking any interested parties to contact us by the end of April to make arrangements for a tour or whatever. And then, put that on the website again, so that
I think
I'm always afraid of the guy that shows up and says, well, I didn't know anything about this. Why didn't you tell me? And I'd like to at least have a record that we did reach out through, communication, whether press or social media or our website, that we did get that word out.
Yeah, we can do that. We also received some more comments online through our forum that we have active. Mark Rend from St. Clair Road says we would love to see ISD IASD revisit the vision of what they want the school district to look like. When was the last time the comprehensive plan was visited and talked about at the board level? To the best of my knowledge, the last time there was any movement on this with community members, businessmen and women, and teachers was when Debbie Clausen was the superintendent. I don't view that as a negative, just pointing out that we need to get on a track. I'm all for increasing the tax base by promoting new businesses, growth and expansion of manufacturing of various types, as well as service industry employment opportunities. I think that the building should be sold off so that it creates an opportunity for other businesses to take advantage of the location and put more tax revenue back into the school district. I'm a fan of less is more. In my opinion, if there are a lot of savings that can be had in maintenance, updating ADA compliance, custodial staff, administrative and supportive staffing, I have been an advocate for either and East and West Elementary or just one central elementary school. I have seen and heard the pros and cons of both sides. I'm a fan of moving forward, not preserving the past buildings. I can support the closing of Horace Mann. An anonymous one says, as an employee of ICAP, we are in desperate need of a homeless shelter in Indiana County due to our shelter being shut down. The apartments located in Josephine have a miles-long wait list, and it's getting worse every day. Horace Mann would be a great central location located within walking distance of necessities, services, and possible employment opportunities for those looking to get back on their feet. Many old school buildings around the country are being repurposed into housing, and this could be a great opportunity for Indiana County. An updated shelter model, more like an apartment-style living, would do wonders for the morale of those experiencing homelessness. Please see below for one example, and she gave us an example I'll look into and share with the board. Thank you for consideration. I will be thrilled to see if this option is even explored. Mary Ann Dodson says Horace Mann is a very sound, sturdy building with great bone structure. Several years ago, Indiana experienced some strong tremors from an earthquake several states away. We never felt any disturbance or shifting. We never even knew it happened until friends came into the school that afternoon and talked about how scary it was. They said traffic lights at Sheets on 4th Street were swinging and the ground was shaking. It would be a shame to lose such a strong standing building in our community. It would not take much to add an elevator to be in compliance with the community with disabilities. It is very convenient for students who walk to school as well in that area. It's a safe school and to be in and no flooding to worry about as well. Selling it or repurposing it would be a shame to lose it as a great teaching elementary school. Our other schools are so overcrowded with such large classes now. Keeping Horace Mann open as an elementary school would solve this problem. Our children deserve better education with smaller classes to accommodate great teaching. Thank you for your attention to this matter, Mary Ann Dodson. And then Ian Clark says, make it into a skate park since the one at Mac Park is closed.
When did we do the AI district evaluation? When was that done?
District evaluation, the comprehensive plan?
2017,
Yeah,
18,
Spirit
somewhere around
District.
there.
Yeah, I just want to push back because we did do an overview. We did do a lot of outreach to the community to get to where we are today. This is not something that we're relying on.
I think Terry led some visioning pieces in it as well
Yes,
through this committee.
Workshops.
Yeah,
which reinforced what we did in 2017. So that's how we got to where we are today. Yeah,
Well, he said whoever it was is Debbie Clausen, but I know Dale did too.
2017 is.
But that was my,
It was like Saturday meeting, whatever.
Yeah.
Did I read this one before?
so you're accepting anonymous comments, I thought we were.
Well, we can choose to do what we want with these. We just wanted to give the community an opportunity to weigh in. We promised them that we would read them at the committee meetings and consider the ones that were considerable, go forward with them.
I
So,
think they're all great ideas. It's just that getting them financed to that point. I mean, a homeless shelter would be simple. We need to partner.
Yeah, and they'd have to step up to
We couldn't do it.
get
It's on our business.
Yeah, and ICAP hasn't reached out to us. We can reach out to them and see if,
So that was an ICAP employee who just sent floated an idea by approval of ICAP.
ICAP themselves, correct?
Yeah, but that's okay.
No, yeah,
Yeah, you could reach out to ICAP and say,
but to his point, do we then, does that become one of the lists or one of the people, Rod, that you guys
If
reach
you want
out
us to
to?
reach out to ICAP.
Yeah, I think so.
Again, it doesn't hurt, and if they have, $16 million, we can do it.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely something,
Well, yeah, I mean, this is we'll get Byron involved in this and through get, somebody else other than the district doing it.
Yeah, but the district isn't gonna do it. We have enough trouble educating kids. Okay, so we're good on that?
I think so. I can't remember if I read these other two, so I'm looking at them real quick. I can't remember the last time we didn't do it at the last committee meeting. So let me read these two just to be short and thorough. What I envision for Horace Mann would be a support for the community. The second and third floors could be converted into apartments that can be rented to individuals on an annual lease, possibly identifying one apartment to be utilized for a homeless individual in need of short-term housing. First floor could be converted into a community support location. Daily meals could be provided to those who live in the apartments, charged at a low fee. There could be laundry options, a social worker to help connect to resources, a therapist to meet with children and residents, a nurse available to help residents take medication, doctor present one time a month or more to see residents or even patients in the community. Community activities planned in the multi-purpose room, a drop-in center atmosphere where people could come and go throughout the day and spend time with each other. Support groups could meet there. The target population could be determined. The first floor could essentially be a one-stop shop for social services. They could have a permanent space, rotating schedule of days, what services were present, and then parentheses, ICAP on Mondays, assistant's office on Tuesdays, etc. Loneliness has become epidemic. Research shows you are more likely to die from loneliness than from smoking a pack of cigarettes a day. This option could reduce social isolation and loneliness, create community among those who need it the most, and utilize the building in a way that continues to support the community at large. And then there's one last one. That's pretty bad, I apologize. I think it would be great to repurpose for Student Support Center as a place for kids to get extra help, to use computer, internet. I know most kids have internet at home, but there are some that don't. Also offering students some sort of counseling services like grief counseling, substance abuse counseling, even for kids that have parents who are in recovery. That's something that I would have benefited from as a child. LGBTQ counseling services, pre-K, early childhood education is a good idea too, but there are already quite a few resources throughout the town. I know money is an issue, but maybe just using the bottom floors would require less maintenance. That is from Heather Halsey.
Yeah, I haven't heard those two, so. I've read them.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And just, again, and when I said we did get one comment, it was from Josie Cunningham. I didn't read it, but I'll just say too, do you have any impressions or thoughts? She said, yeah, still hold on to the thought that the building can and should be used for educational purposes. And if you could offer the school board one piece of advice, she said, make a decision based on future needs of community. Early childhood education could thrive in such a location. So that's what we got so far.
Okay.
Okay.
And for the record, when I toured the building on April 2nd, I did not pay attention to what color the ductwork was. So
It's a real opportunity.
I missed an opportunity. So I'll take a second look, I promise. Okay.
I'm sure it's been painted several times.
Okay, moving on then.
Thank you.
Mr. Green, can you go home?
Thank you,
Should I
sir.
run also?
Walter, you're not dismissed.
I'm temporarily excused.
Okay. Ben Franklin East Pike Playground Walkways. Mr. Cheney got an estimate from East American. for $20-some thousand, $21,000 for the two walkways.
And this is something we've been talking about for a long time. It's been on the to-do list for quite some time. I don't remember exactly where it is on our capital reserve priority list, but it is something, or is this something that was approved and we just had to move forward?
Well, one of them, I mean, the East Pike one is just, if we're gonna put in the inclusive playground, we gotta get
And that
ways
was,
for the kids to get
and that
back
money
to it.
came from the United Way, if you remember. The United Way put in that last $20,000, so $20,000, I believe, came from the United Way. I'm almost positive.
We
I
have
can
it
check
as
on that.
number one, Ben Franklin Playground Path Paving, $100,000.
So instead of $100,000, it's $11,000.
No. Oh, Ben Franklin is 11,300.
And these will probably have to be broken out as separate projects. Just
Yeah.
not
They
knowing
could,
the
they could
exact.
be one contract.
If we do one contract, well, I mean, we'll have to get multiple quotes either way, but
Okay, so if you break them out into two contracts, because the two different buildings, then they can take the quotes.
We don't have
not
these.
necessarily.
Pathway, that's a necessity. Once they add the additional equipment and put the board in place surface in, then we need a pathway to get the students
Right.
from the walk in the back over to there. And there's no sub base there. We need to create that and the top coat.
And so that's the
The two
9,700.
pathways at Ben Franklin are already have a sub base. That's just the top coat.
Okay, and these would be two different projects?
they probably won't be done at the exact same time.
Yeah, but by the same company. You could do one and then the other or whatever,
You could,
whatever
if,
scale we're gonna do with it.
yeah, I mean, we'll probably still either way have to get 2 additional quotes, so.
So
But what we can do is, we can get the 2 additional quotes and whether it is, I mean,
Why don't we put these on the board agenda as not to exceed, one not to exceed 10,000, one not to exceed 12,000. Then we'll go ahead with it.
we can do that, and then when we get the other quotes, as long as they stay within that, I mean, they won't exceed, I mean, we're not gonna approve something that's more than Eastern American, so.
Where do you have East Pike on the list? I see Ben Franklin pathways, but
on the
Playground.
capital reserve list, on the,
I don't think it actually got on the list.
no, that was part of that inclusive playground project that, when we
Money was being
Designed
raised
all
for
that.
it.
we had the $135,000 raised for it.
So let's say that all the bids for both projects come in at 25,000. Do we pay for all of that, or do some of their money go for?
The United Way, I believe, is donating a good portion of that money to create the pathway out to the playground itself.
Of the East Pike,
Yes,
yeah.
And
So
what about Ben Franklin?
we don't have any donations for that. That's going out just to the regular playground.
two
As
both
part of this
playgrounds.
list.
That's both
Yeah.
paths.
Yeah, it's the two playgrounds.
Yeah.
Right now, it's a gravel path.
Why we don't do contracts?
Well, because it stays below the $25,000
different.
limit. And they
But
can
you're
get,
still
they get,
getting 3.
We still have to get 3 quotes.
We're still getting 3 quotes.
So why break it out into 2 contracts?
we don't have to do,
Fair question.
We're not.
Okay.
We'll do it as one.
Yeah.
The only thought is if we weren't prepared to do both at the same time, or necessarily if we weren't gonna get the one in right away, then we wouldn't have to get 3 quotes. But if they're that similar of a project, any auditor is gonna come in and say that needed to be quoted out, so,
so you get the 3 quotes to be done with it.
yes.
Okay.
What's the depth of the different materials? Because I hate when they do square yard, because you don't know if it's an inch thick or is it
Out here in back of East
6
Pike,
inches.
we have to build a sub base. And I think he said 4 inches of gravel and then the top coat.
any geotextile underneath the sub base, because wasn't this real wet back there?
Yeah, so,
It's more to the other side. It's close to the sidewalk. It's wet there, but the rest of it's pretty good.
And that sidewalk's just running from the middle doorway to the playground, right?
Yeah, that's going that way.
what are we saying here?
I think that avoids a lot of the wet area, doesn't it? Or
It
that
does.
was that right through the wet area?
No, it's only wet right close to the current sidewalk that goes straight out to stalls.
But it would certainly be better to put geotechnical fabric on it regardless. Excuse me. If you can do that. We have to approve both of these. Can we get a motion on the books for Monday? That the board could,
I think by the 22nd at the latest, right?
No,
You're saying,
no.
you're just saying, get it on there and then,
get it
Get the
on there
quotes
so,
and just
so that
go.
we can get people lined up and so that it gets done this summertime.
you know, wouldn't we have to approve the quote after we
We
accept?
could make an approval not to exceed.
We could probably word it in such a way, yeah, that we can accept something without exceeding a certain number. And then if we want to, we can bring the contract back by May 20th, but the actual contract itself. But in the meantime, we can tell them, look, we have approval to move forward.
Sounds good.
Okay. So that's that. What about the ESCO lighting study?
I talked to them on Friday, I believe. They will be coming back in May. They've been here at the district a couple times, still working on a couple things, but they should have a full report for our May buildings and grounds.
So months. Okay. What are we gonna do with the stadium lighting?
Well, the fact that the ESCO lighting study might not be even ready to move forward till May puts us up against the wall with the stadium lights. They need to be updated by this fall so that they are ready to go, because there's several of those light bulbs that are out and need replaced, and we can't legally send someone up there to replace them right now. So we have a couple different options, and Dave, you and Jenny want to talk about that?
Yeah, I mean, the options are to proceed with the quote I just received today from Musco for $574,000 to retrofit.
That's the whole thing.
Right.
That's the worst case.
Yeah,
You said that, you were so very sanguine about that.
That's all new.
Yeah, everything's new, LED,
Yeah.
state of the
new
art.
poles, new lights, new everything. The other option is to repair the existing poles so that they are safe to climb at a cost of $21,222.
Better.
And I think that's, in our conversations as an admin group, I think that's our recommendation at this point. I mean, I think the ESCO project will include the stadium upgrade as a possible line item to be included with that project. But in light of us, both buildings and grounds and on finance, wanting to do some type of matrix where we are ranking these projects, this is one of them. And we just jumping into it without running it through there kind of seems a little.
So if we do the 21,000, then you can actually replace light bulbs.
Yes.
Yes.
Who climbs up that pole?
Some brave soul.
It's not afraid of heights.
Not you guys.
No.
Not me either, by the way.
Which is fine.
Okay, would you put that on the agenda then to approve 21,000?
Yep.
And and you can talk about the 54,574 so that people know why we're doing this.
So while they're doing this, they're gonna replace any lighting that's out.
Oh, good. Actually,
But we
Why don't
won't
you just
talk
replace all
long
the
about the
bulbs?
500,000.
while they're up there.
Just a phrase.
That's all.
Not
This
put
is
any
the-
ideas into it.
This is the cheaper of the two options. So what's the question?
Are you gonna replace the bulb?
Well, yeah, Sally has a question, but we talked about burning the lights. Did you find that out today?
I did not find that out. No, I didn't have a chance to talk to them yet, but
Oh, okay.
it's something we can do after this.
Well, you want to do it now or you want to do it afterwards?
Tell me how. I gotta
Okay.
find the
So
answer.
why don't we call for Sally there?
Dr. McComb, you have a question?
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Loud and clear.
Okay, if we go with the lower, just repair the poles in the stadium, how long will they be safe? How long will that last?
They said that they were good for at least 2 years. They would expect every 2 years, and correct me if I'm wrong.
Well,
Dave.
they would need to inspect them every 2 years.
Need to inspect them every 2
Yeah,
years.
they
but
said that they could last up to 20 years.
I see, that's great. And as far as the safety only concerns people climbing the poles, or does the safety concern people in the stadium?
Just climbing.
Okay, great. Okay, thank you.
Before you go, Sally, I asked Cheney to get a number for replacing all the bulbs, just not the burnout bulbs, while they're up there in the height. Then we start off with all new bulbing in that area. To
That's
get,
smart.
to at least get a price on it, so we could take a look at that.
That's great. Thank you.
So I asked Rob earlier today, and he didn't have a chance to try to track this down. But I've driven by this stadium a couple of times. It's kind of in my neighborhood. And at about the same time of the night with the same lighting conditions, those lights are on, and there are people down there either practicing or playing a game. And my concern is that if these lights are hard to get, expensive, we're having issues with them, what is the policy, procedure, what have you, on actually turning those lights on? And could it be modified so that we don't spend as many hours with them on, except when we need to have them on, when the lighting conditions drop down? So I guess I'm kind of asking you two guys if you know what the story is. I remember hearing something about having to burn them for demand purposes or determining demand on the electric, but it seems to me that those lights are burning at times when it doesn't make a lot of sense.
To our knowledge, they're only turned on when there is an active sport or practice at a late hour.
Who turns on?
That's all controlled by either,
Whoever's there.
if it's games, we have a
Custodial
maintenance guy
coach.
there,
I'm sorry?
A custodian, a coach,
or a coach, or
or somebody.
Yeah, the coaches.
So I guess my point is that we
Sometimes the lights are on.
should try to monitor and
Set a standard.
figure out when they should go, because, you know,
Yeah, they wouldn't have to go on today.
wouldn't have to go on today, tonight, right now.
Yeah.
So we need to look into that to figure out why or when or who's making those decisions and try to get it,
I
like you
would like to
say,
know that.
develop a standard. This is when they go on, this is when they go
I'll
off,
have to get Dan involved.
you know.
Yeah, we can follow.
Well, whatever, but I do think that there's, you know, I do save electricity by shutting the lights.
All the coaches that utilize the field all have a key to get into the electrical room to activate those lights.
It might be as simple as they know it's gonna get dark. I mean, I'm speculating, so I don't know if we're gonna talk about it now, but like, you know, I'm gonna be out there coaching. I know it's gonna get dark in an hour.
Right, that's what they
Turn 'em
have
on.
to have on.
Yeah.
If a cloud comes over, it changes the condition and stuff. I think, you know, with coaching, that's,
It might be.
Yeah, but I'm also thinking that we got daylight savings time 3 weeks ago.
right.
Where do you
So-
turn them on, Jenny? In the actual high school, or we're by
In
the
the field house.
Field house.
The bulbs you're talking about, Tom, we're replacing with the same types of bulbs.
Always.
You can't upgrade or like change the LED without changing other stuff.
No,
Yeah.
that's
Okay.
a different animal.
Well, anyway, I think it deserves
Yeah, we'll look.
some sort of a conversation, investigation to see why and whether there any changes can be made or not.
Sir, we'll look into it.
Moving on then,
Yep, that's fine.
we got daycare.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the question is, you know, which direction do we want to move forward here with daycare? Now, my update is this, we're hosting a meeting on May 12th, 13th? It's May, it's early May, with that Armstrong, Indiana Career Pathway partnership that includes representatives from higher education, Westmoreland Community College will be there, IUP will be there, we will be there, as well as, you know, some, you know, the chamber, you know, different business interests. And we'll be talking about what this pathway could look like and what can we build from the base that Mrs. Jordan and the other FCS teachers have created. What can this turn into a rising educator program? Whether that's a CTE program, whether it's a program with an articulation agreement from college, whether it's both, or some combination thereof. So we have students going through this, but they're not only learning the basics of childcare and maybe doing the teacher internships. They're doing those programs and taking a pedagogy course that will articulate to IUP for 3 credits, and get them on the fast track to a career in education of some sort. Through some work with Westmoreland Community College, whose credits all transfer by law to IUP, we might be able to lay a foundation where they take these classes, they get credit through Westmoreland Community College, and then they go to IUP as a second semester freshman, first semester sophomore at IUP, already with some education programming under their belt and a lot of their electives that they can take through college and high school under their belt as well. And then, we can, with some scholarship programs that IUP is putting together, maybe have them jump right into secondary education or elementary education tracks from there. So that's what that meeting is all about. That's where we kind of envision this program going. We talk about workforce development and we talk about high demand industries. Teaching is one of the highest demand industries that we have right now, and it's going to get worse. The state of Pennsylvania issued 4 physics certifications last year, 4 in the entire state. So that means that, down the road, when our physics teachers retire, we won't be able to replace them. Like, we're going to be in a situation where there just won't be any workforce to fill that demand. So anything we can do to promote bright students going into education, specifically at the secondary level, because elementary, if we have a job for elementary, we'll have 45 applicants still, right, for early childhood. Mid-level might be 20. Secondary math or science, we're talking about 6. So those shortages are coming. They're present. They're going to get worse. So we think that this is a good time to move in that direction. I think if we're going to invest the money into this program, into this, this situation, that's got to be the goal, right? I mean, what we do now is very nice, and it's an awesome resource for the community. It's also something that we have an opportunity to expand upon and move in the right direction. Thank you. That meeting is May 15th. I appreciate that.
Can I ask a question? Do we charge for these little students who come? Do we charge?
I don't think so. I think it's a free service if you sign up. I think it's first come, first served. But Wade, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not sure.
That's correct. There's no charge.
So is there anything to prevent us from charging a fee?
That's a very good question.
I mean,
I don't
everywhere
know
else you
that
have to
yet.
pay something for this type of.
I don't know that yet. I would have to look into that.
It wouldn't be enough to change the dynamics of the budget, but certainly,
They're also, those kids aren't on site every day. or 4 hours.
regardless, you're
No,
getting.
I understand, but it's not like Grand Beginnings.
Yeah.
Where it's every day for
No,
4
but-
hours.
But I'm also thinking that if you do make this thing work,
Mhm.
and given that the young students are only there for a portion of the period of time that room is being occupied, whether or not there isn't some expansion, or maybe you get double those students coming by scheduling and figuring out how to develop the program and deliver the program using that same facility, but getting more utilization out of it for.
For sure.
Is there any reason why we're so wedded to having the program at one of our facilities?
Just the opportunity that it presents. I'd like to own that rather than giving it to another school district and sending our potential students out there. Those students all come, if we would turn this into a CTE program, every other district sends their kids to ICTC in Indiana already. So the buses are all coming here. So if they're coming here, then they just swing by. We could take Homer Center students and Penns Manor students. But
it wouldn't, it seems to me that the ICTC might be a nice place to have the program instead of here, which would free up that space for something else.
well, the nice thing is that we have students here. So we would have to either move that program up to ICTC.
Well, that's what I mean.
Well, I don't know if there's any.
Well,
space for them, but-
They used to
Not
have
now,
a
there
program at ICTC and they closed it.
Did they?
They had one there for many years and then they closed it for childcare.
I
want to say they closed it
Julia,
prior to getting the graphics program.
Oh, interesting. Okay, thank you.
Julia, unless the ICTC were to expand their physical capacity, either through an addition, Horace Mann, leasing space from us, whatever, I don't think they're gonna have the space up there. It's already the
Well,
premium.
we could conceivably move the program to Horace Mann.
Could, but there may not be any students there. The nice thing about the location is now is we have the elementary students coming in. So students working on early childhood would have that lab right there with children already in it. And the intern program that they've built where the students actually go out to help with the middle school and stuff can help with the secondary piece of that. So I'm thinking that if we arrange the curriculum in such a way and support the curriculum without changing a whole lot of what we do. I mean, there would be some changes, but we just build on the program that they've already built. We still provide that service to our community and we get this benefit. And if we make it an ICTC program, in fact, other school districts that help pay for it.
Currently, the kids treat it as another class. So they leave one class and go to that class. There's no, it's not a 4-hour class. It's a 1 period class, 2 period class.
So the way CTE programs work is there's a task list, right? And they have to go through these tasks. And one of those tasks will be, implement a lesson plan to students and I'm just spitballing. I don't know exactly. I haven't looked at the task list exactly yet. But that would be one of those, that lab would serve to check off those task lists for certain kids. So they could, practice and demonstrate their capacity and their mastery of that particular task. So that's the benefit of having it there. And I think if we, with the need for the teachers, the teacher shortage, the workforce development, the opportunity that we have here with this structure being built already with the lab and the internship program, if it's just a matter of adding a few courses in pedagogy or educational psychology or theory like that, coupled with our dual enrollment and college and high school programs, I think we have a really interesting opportunity here to maybe really expand the opportunities, build that pipeline to IUP, and create a win-win-win. So that's the big area at Dacia School. There's still a lot of things we've got to iron out between them. Bottom line, if we're talking about remodeling, I think that should be the vision.
But the RFPs haven't come back yet. When do you expect them back?
I told them by the end of the month. We sent them
Okay, so
on Friday.
there's really no decision to make on that. We could table this. You're gonna have some idea on the 15th, but you're pretty confident that you're gonna get some kind of pathway. You don't know what that looks like yet.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what it looks like.
But
There's
we're gonna get
things.
some kind of pathway.
Correct.
Sometime in the next 2 weeks, we're gonna get some RFPs back. And then we can decide to take action in early May, mid-May, or not.
Okay.
Our board meeting,
May 20th.
we have one board meeting on May the 20th in that month. As you remember, Ray remembered, Tom, the Excellence in Education Award for the teacher and the students happens to coincide with our regular scheduled meeting for May.
So the May 13th meeting's been canceled.
Correct.
And then that was slid to
May 20th.
the May 20th meeting.
We're just gonna have that one meeting on May 20th. That's a busy night too. We have like 3 committee
Budget.
meetings. We have 3 committee meetings and the board meeting right after that. So. it'll be
And pass,
ambitious.
and that'll be the first pass of the budget
Yes.
in order to make our June deadline.
If you get the RFPs back, you could circulate them and we can circulate them to the committee and see if there's one we want to recommend or not.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I've gotten 2 responses so far. Both have said they're not interested.
The 2 said they're not interested
Yes.
as the responses.
They really just said we've already booked our work out. We don't have the time to take on this project.
And that may be true.
And if that's, we'll keep after it. try to do what we can, and then if it, I don't know that there's, I think we're doing the two things at the same time here, and I think, we would love to have that upgrade. We don't necessarily need to move it to the top of the list unless there's that sense of urgency that says, hey, we're gonna get a lot of bang for our buck here, and this is with the facilities that we're gonna need. So that's, I think we'll keep after both things, and then we'll bring the best recommendation we can to EMA and
Yeah.
move forward from there.
Yeah, and my position is we shouldn't have a program without a restroom.
Understood, I agree. I think it's something I think everybody agrees with that piece.
The update on the science classrooms, Wade and I met with the science teachers. What we found out in the interim is that they can fit 24 kids in each of the classrooms that we currently have. And so any massive remodeling on those rooms is unnecessary.
He went next door.
What we did find out though is we have 2 science classrooms that don't have any lab space at all. And what we realized in that conversation was we moved the 9th grade up into the existing 10th, 11th, 12th laboratories. And so we expanded our science needs without actually expanding any of the lab spaces. So what the science teachers would like to do is to create 2 more rooms that they can do laboratory experiments in for those 2 rooms. We looked at the schedule, and what I initially thought was a underutilization of these rooms turns out to be probably not true. They use their prep time to set up laboratories. They are concerned about having a sociology class and a chemistry lab with all that stuff. So the only period that those rooms are not really being utilized much is when it's during a planning period or a lunch period. I'm sorry, during a lunch period. The planning period they're using to set up the lab spaces and the experiments, and they leave the labs up between these are multiple day laboratories. So they don't need gas, they need water, and they preferred the labs that are around the outside of the room, in the middle of the room being free. So I was going to do a sketch of that and take that back to those teachers and see what they thought. And I'll make sure I invite the committee to go back on that meeting. That's my update on those.
Did you?
Did you have anything to add?
No, you covered it very well.
Oh, whew. Suck it up.
Yeah. I was talking to Mary Ann about the consumer science rooms, but, if we could only have 2 rooms converted into more lab-based classrooms, then that would help 2 of our teachers that we didn't count on before 9th grade came up.
What the rooms that they're focused on are the 2 rooms that they currently have in the middle. And they would take 3 classrooms. They currently have 2 classrooms. They take 3 classrooms and make it into 2 labs. And the advantage of those rooms is they're slightly larger and they have no windows to contend with. So that would.
They're on the 2nd floor, correct?
And they're on the
So
2nd floor, so Cheney can get to all the plumbing.
is it as simple as, running some plumbing and putting tables in there instead of desks?
It would, and again, we would revisit this with the teachers, but they like is it 216?
215.
215 that has the tables that are mobile with the lab surface on. They can rearrange them, they can do things, they can extend the labs, they can make a classroom out of it. That's what those teachers preferred. We certainly will revisit that. But then to get the lab space around the outside edge with a hood would allow these guys to actually run biology with labs which they can't do right now. Am I missing anything? Okay, so that's an ongoing discussion. Okay,
Yes, sir.
auxiliary building?
The last time Mr. Springer and I spoke, we talked about a couple of different options, but We keep coming back to the best option might be just put the roof back on it and make it storage like it was. We have a couple of different things that would require much more elaborate upgrades, but none of them are really exciting. I mean, some of them are interesting, I would say, but like we talked about making an outdoor space, an outdoor playground, but without the roof, I'm afraid it's going to look like Chernobyl a little bit, like with, this hollowed out building. And we're always looking for storage. We're running out of storage everywhere we turn. So it might be, the easiest thing right now or the most cost-effective thing right now is get the roof repaired and use it for the purpose it was used for. So
I would look at doing a roof, insulating the roof, and adding heat to it. I'd also like to get the stuff that's stored in it and has been ruined in a
we got to
dumpster.
get that out of there.
Yeah, I'd like to get that cleaned out. Do you know what the roof cost would be? Did we look at that?
No, we kind of just put it on pause because we were waiting for that, but we can definitely get people involved. We also talked about getting ICTC involved to maybe take that on as a project.
So that would get the price to 25%.
Yeah.
We could easily do a pitched roof on it. And shingle it.
I think, Tom, it's kind of to a point where, but I remember looking at it when we had that little tour, was that we either put the roof on it, even if we don't do anything else, or tear it down at this point in time. You gotta do one or the other.
Yeah, the roof should never have gotten to the position it is now. Everything that was stuffed into it is ruined, so that needs to be dumpstered. And then I think we put a simple roof on it and call it a job. But if it has water and electric in it, we can easily put some heat into it and make it so you can actually use it for storage and it doesn't rust out the desks or it doesn't. And then you have the ability to use, it's 1,800 feet, I believe, or so.
So
It's a big footprint.
It is.
Okay, and storage is something we're always looking for.
So if you're gonna if you're gonna use it for storage, where do they keep the mowers and the outside maintenance equipment for this particular facility?
In a shed out back.
It's in a shed out back.
Shed
Parking
back
lot.
there.
There's no mower there.
Mowers are brought up for the maintenance, from the maintenance building.
Okay,
Snow
okay,
blowers, weed whackers,
Salt spreaders.
okay.
there's nothing,
So none of it's stored within the confines of the four walls of this particular building?
there's the snow blowers, the only thing that's inside, it's in a boiler room.
Okay,
Okay, there's nothing,
Which you shouldn't be
there's
in there.
nothing. Yeah, there's no blowers in the boiler room. So
They've
that's a
been
bad idea.
productive.
Okay, so we have a shed already here, but nothing's being stored in that building that's of any use.
yeah, okay.
Okay, so we
Okay,
can,
so we'll get it cleaned out. We'll talk to ICTC about the roof repair and then we'll look at what it would cost to get heat into that space.
well,
Which
being
might give us-
electric's there, it becomes pretty simple to get some heat
Oh.
into it, some air circulation. We need the air circulation in order that things don't moist up and rust.
Sure.
ICTC has an HVAC program too, correct?
They do?
And maybe they could even look at the,
They could rewire it, they could do the HVAC, and they could put a new roof on it.
Let me find out.
And we can have the administration pull the demo of the old roof.
and that's we're gonna move Rob's office.
Okay.
Very sweet.
I believe we had some numbers though on replacing this commercially. We did not.
Replacing,
The roof. Did we ever get a quote for that roof?
I don't know if Craig ever,
I thought we had a quote from CMC. You want to check with him?
Craig was here, but I don't know that he ever sent any quotes.
Yeah, would you check with him, Jared?
It didn't come past me.
And that would give us our outside number. And if we can get friends, see.
Yeah, if we can find a project and we'll.
And the nice thing is it doesn't, we're not under any deadline. It could take 6 months.
Right. Agreed.
Okay.
Are we gonna talk about the matrix?
What?
The matrix,
Yes, that's next, number 9.
okay, good.
would you like to talk to me
Well, I just want to get it done
before the Penguins start? Okay,
I know the committees have been asking for some type of matrix to kind of really score the different capital projects that we have on our list. So this is just kind of a first kind of draft, a starting point for us to take a look at. What I would like to do, if the committee, both really the audit and finance and buildings and grounds, is to value our time, go down through every single one of these items and try and come to a common idea, whether it's a 5, a 3, or 2, or 1. I can create a survey that goes out and everybody can kind of score it, and then maybe we can average it, and I can put those numbers in there to come up with what how they may score on average based on everybody's input. I think sitting here and everybody trying to decide those numbers is just going to be way too time consuming and a waste of time for everybody. What we really need to talk about is the matrix up top is, do you want to change those? How do you want, what do you want to base those numbers on?
well,
Or
let
certainly
me understand first off, is a 1 first importance or is a 5 first importance?
It seems like 5 would
Okay.
be most important.
Okay, which is a 180-degree flip from what we've been doing. We've been doing 1, 2, 3 in the past. So,
Well, I think we could make it, I think the scoring would give you the ones with the highest scores would become 1s, win the priority.
no, they become 5s then.
Well, whatever you want to do, however you guys want to score it.
I just want to make, we want to make it real clear which way this is.
Yeah, I think this would replace what
I
the current budget looks like.
Okay. I would make a 5 then, a thing that is absolutely critical, must be done immediately.
Yeah.
Okay, that
That's
cannot
what
be
it
delayed.
says.
Yeah, that's what it says. I mean, if you look at safety.
I think you would add the total scores then would decide. You'd be a 5 in one thing and a 1 in another category overall. Like
Like if we were going to score
for
the.
safety, auditorium lighting is going to be a 0. It has nothing really to do with safety. So it could become a 0. You could put a 0 in that first one. I know I'm just going across the board.
Let's do that. So let's put a 0 and see what happens. Then under educational impact, it would be everybody, wouldn't it? Whoever's in that auditorium.
Yeah, like for under educational impact, is it critical cause school to be closed? I mean, and these can change in here, and I'm looking for feedback, and I can send it out to the entire committee to get feedback on what those.
You can't, the matrix, you can't have the numbers then 1 through 4, 1 through 5 underneath of the matrix.
Well,
If that column is safety, okay, then whatever number I put for auditorium lighting under safety, that's my value. 5 has nothing to do with it.
We're going to score between one.
I understand that, but you have importance factors 5, 4, 3, 3, 1.
And those maybe just need to go away.
Those need to go away because that's what's confusing me.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
so the first column is safety. So I think the auditorium lighting safety factors 2, Julie thinks it's a 0, and that's fine.
Right.
Okay, and we go through then under those, and those numbers disappear. Okay, my numbers that I stick in this grid are what are the important numbers. I do a total score, and it's going to be the high number that is our biggest focus.
Right. Well, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Jim, but this will actually rearrange them based on need? or-
Yes.
I mean, that's my
Ultimately,
understanding.
yes.
When you scored, like if we sent this out to the board and said, please rate the stadium lighting as the next project, and everybody rates it based on a matrix, the system will then turn out, whatever the top priority is will just come to the top of that.
yes, I don't have any
spreadsheet.
problem with that. What my concern is that the committee review. Has the committee reviewed it? In other words, this would, how
add
procedurally
that
or
as a-
tactically would you do it? Yeah, I think you have to say whether or not. Has the committee discussed it? Has it become, because anybody can put a motion on the table for anything.
Well, I don't think it's going to be on here at some point. A committee needs to review it and rank it.
So even to get on the list for a ranking, you have to be reviewed at committee.
So that needs to be
It needs to be,
understood.
a committee needs to request to have it on here and then it would be ranked at a committee meeting.
Well, then that needs to be explained. That should be footnoted.
Okay.
Because I don't think it's clear that, because,
So the process needs to be
yes.
established.
I'd like to break
And-
auditorium lighting at the junior high into auditorium lighting and stage lighting. Into two
Well, wait,
subjects.
we're going from very general now to super
Well,
specific.
that's where you're heading, yes.
No, I'm not. I want to try, because to me, there's a, this has to work as a practical matter. And I think we all have to have the same understanding of how the list is created. And I think that when you go from this list to this list, it's easy to understand 1, 2, 3, but it doesn't really give you any history of how the list came to be. For historically, there's no context for it. Whereas I think that we do need some context in this new matrix that we're going to use, which could be done in any number of different ways. So safety. So one of the things we don't have is the number of when you say educational impact, you're saying slight disruption. You're talking about physical disruption.
And I just got this. So this is, I
Right.
did not put this
So-
together. I didn't, in all honesty, this
Yeah.
is just a starting point, so.
So one of the things that I think that all of these priorities have to go through is is this going to be a program, for instance, is it going to be the chess, like let's say chess were a school sport? Is this going to be a program that affects 12 students, or is this going to be something that affects an entire school? Every
I see what
grade,
you're
or it
saying.
only
Yeah.
affects third grade and all the elementary schools, or only ninth grade? Because I often don't feel as though I have, so the band uniforms are always a big expensive item for us. So you had down band uniforms at 120,000 on this list. Okay, so how many students does that cover?
The question is rhetorical for tonight,
Yes.
Correct.
but it's an answer that you need to have when you actually start to fill this matrix in.
Well, that was kind of one of my, go ahead, Jim. I mean, Jim's asking a question, but I have other questions.
Well, I'm piggybacking off of what you said, Julia. I agree that I like the idea of this process because the 1 to 3 rankings didn't give any history, and it seemed like it would be changed committee to committee. Somebody would bring a proposal forward, and the ranking would change. I think what should happen is twofold. Number one, this list right now, like the last time I was in the auditorium was quite a while ago, so I'm not really a good resource to give a survey to. I don't know the condition, but I think, not that I want to put more on your plate, Rob, but the list as we have it, I think the administration should make a recommendation for most of these rankings. And then that gone over at committee, including, what Julia was saying, how, what is the educational impact as far as students, the safety. I mean, these are very good criteria to make a solid ranking. And then going forward procedurally, any project that comes to the table comes with these questions already answered. So then we know where to put it already on the list.
How do we answer the questions when a project just shows up at the very beginning of a project?
Yes, Mike.
We would need to list the project and then determine the rankings.
Well, like, for
what do you-
example, the science classroom update, for example, that just came up not so long ago. When the administration or Wade or whoever brings that forward and says, hey, you know what, we have an issue here with our science rooms. These questions can be answered, make a form. Hey, you want a project, here's your form. And it take like 5-10 minutes, fill it out. And then when it's presented at the committee meeting, we can just discuss, whether or not, where it goes. Do we disagree with these rankings? Or I think that procedurally would cut down, projects wouldn't mysteriously escalate to different priorities. They would be set. And if they, you got a low priority thing and it's been on there for a little bit, I like the age, it's been there for a while. It's getting worse. We need to get on top of it or it's going to escalate quickly. I like the procedure. If we starting now, The only thing that's going to be a little more cumbersome is we already have all these things on a list. We need them to be evaluated under these criteria.
Exactly. My question, when I'm thinking about the process to Madam Vice President's point, who does the rating? Is it the committee? Is it the board? Is it the administration? Is it all of the above?
Well, I think that's important. I think that I call that a launch pad approach, which I've seen used on other boards, what he's talking about. We can do it by example, or we can talk about it in general, but in general, what I would envision is that the administration identifies that we need new band uniforms. Okay? So they bring it into the committee that would be overseeing that, or the multiple committees, and would put down something about why they think it's necessary, including projected costs, not necessarily exact bid cost, how many students are affected, and then all these other criteria, and whether or not the committee has agreed, and what the vote count was, so that we know that before it even gets here. And then the matrix for capital project planning, I like them. I certainly like what Jim said, recommendation of ranking by the administration.
Well, let's put this a little farther would be for the band uniforms to show up to the committee with that information already on it. The committee can then review that, and this committee should be able to add it to the capital account without going through the entire board. But we also could take it to the other committees. No,
not necessarily. That takes forever, but.
Yeah, well, I mean, but this Buildings and Grounds Committee could put it on the capital list. Okay, we could disagree with the administration or the principal's rating. Okay, and we can manipulate that. But the committee would ultimately be responsible for determining those values.
Well,
I think to answer your question, Rob,
I don't.
I think that before you would bring it to the board, the administration would go through this process.
You mean the board or the committee?
No, I'm sorry, Julia, okay. Scratch everything I said.
Okay.
Let me start from the beginning. I think before the administration would bring forward this introduction of a particular project to the committee, it would go through this matrix. You picking out which administrators would fulfill the matrix. Okay, and then that's in part your justification for why this needs to happen. Okay, and then the committee could go through the matrix, as Tom was saying, score it ourselves, and if we came up with something similar, okay, then it's kind of a no-brainer to take it to the administration or take it to the full board for.
With them understanding that full procedure was gone through, that this just didn't travel up quickly through the ranks.
Correct.
One board member wanted it.
Correct, okay, that it went through this particular process, okay? And if we did this for all of the known projects now, then I think what you've done is you've taken this list, okay, and rearranged it based on
Yes.
what the administration rates here and what the committee rates, and then that becomes the recommendation. If I remember right, we approve as a board our capital projects list each year, correct?
Yes, I mean, you approve it as a budget. You don't approve necessarily fulfilling everything,
No, but-
certain items,
No,
but
but we could certainly set up a motion
Yep.
that would say the board, accepts the recommendations, the priority list for future projects as determined by the administration and the committee. And then that kind of puts the full force of the board behind that we need to get these particular projects done. Now,
But it also, Julie's point though, is that if something happens at the high school and Wade brings something to the committee, it needs to be added.
yes,
Okay? It needs to be added, it needs to be evaluated and then added to the list. If the committee, the board thinks, at least the committee thinks that that's an appropriate thing.
I would,
So emergency and opportunity.
the emergency though, I think what we have to do there okay, is to grant Rob specifically the authority to approve any emergency repair he deems necessary without doing this. And my example of that is
Water leak at the high school.
we had the water leak at the high school. Okay, we're not gonna wait 2 months to go through this process and get everybody to rank it and nod their head. He's gonna say, I deem this critical to the operation of the building. Here's why. All the water shut down in the building closes if I don't do this. I made the call. This is the deal. He directs him, he directs those two, what have you, and it gets done.
But, and that's fine. I'm talking about things that show up academically or physically during the year, or the
Let's
chess
take
club, or the
let's
chess club shows up.
take an example let's do it by example. The junior high roof is an opportunity that's been presented to us at the last Buildings and Grounds meeting, not this one, the one before. You came in and these gentlemen were here. They gave us a very interesting report. But that roof replacement isn't something that's been on anybody's radar screen as a high priority. However, what they were saying is you were saying there's a grant opportunity. And they were very
Okay,
insightful. So that's an opportunity. So we might want to expedite that. And I think we just have to be very clear that that's what we're doing, because it was never really on a list before.
well, but it should have been on the list as a 20-year-old roof that is going to need to be replaced in the next 5 years. So it should be on the list as a very low priority at this
Well,
point.
then all of the roofs have to, then we have to inventory the whole place, but I don't think we have, you're talking about inventorying everything.
No, I'm not. I'm talking about looking down in the midterm on $1 million expense that we know is coming down the pike.
That's why I added band uniforms, because
Yeah.
it's been 10+ years on them.
And we're gonna hear pretty soon that the band uniforms need to be
Yeah.
replaced.
And we need to
But
consider
that's not an
other,
opportunity, that's just something we have to do.
yeah, and it may be ranked very low right now, but
But it's gonna work its way up
Yes.
when the band shows up wearing t-shirts.
I just feel
now,
like
do you want all requests coming to committee, or if the administration deems them as not even valuable enough to come onto this list, do they still come to the committee
No,
for review?
I think it's the whatever would go on the capital projects list. I think that remains the same. And that's what comes to the committee.
But if we create a form for people to submit those type of requests, for instance, I'm just gonna throw a teacher wants their whole classroom,
bathroom.
wants a bathroom in their classroom. And we as administration come in and say, nope, we just don't think that your bathroom, there's no valuable reason why your classroom needs a bathroom. And we ixnay it.
Yeah.
Does that still come to committee?
No, if you guys aren't gonna support it, there's no reason to bring it to committee. Now, that doesn't mean that they don't show up here at a public meeting and say something, okay? But for God's sakes, if they can't get the principals
No,
and you guys to support
So,
something, it's not worth it.
but this matrix then becomes the priority of support.
Yeah, we would run through it and say, look, this is such a low priority that, there's no reason.
It's not even gonna make the list.
Yeah, and
kinda like it.
that would keep our job simpler, which I'm all in favor.
Yeah, and we have administrative functions where we get together and talk about these things already. So, if, Erin has a need at her building, she brings it to the administrative meeting and says, this is something that needs done. The playground is unsafe. We need to do something about that. We can sit down, rate it, get the right people involved, run it through. If it's a priority, we bring it to the committee. If not, we don't.
Tom, Jim had a question, I think.
Yeah, real quick, I think to solve Julia's, what she brought up about, the opportunities that would arise, like something like the roof where there might be funding available, but it's under a time crunch. Is there a way to add a column to the matrix that has not only timeliness of the request, like it's, there's a window where funding, like to even if it's just an extra point or two, so that way that's reflected in the matrix for things like that, where, there's an ability to get a grant or if we don't do it now, the price will double in 6 months. You know, something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, future cost
Call
aversion
it
or something.
unique opportunity.
Yeah. Well, me and Jared work on that. We can work on what the matrix will look like. We'll bring it back to you guys.
I like this. though.
We'll run it
I thought
through.
I
I think it's a good start.
Yeah, we can run this crew through it and see how it comes out and see if it comes out the same way.
And this is, I don't see the music instruments.
They are probably on the page before that as a recurring item.
Where did that start?
Musical
Ongoing
instruments.
basis.
Musical instruments, projects or items approved on an ongoing basis.
And they're not spending $100,000.
No, they're not. I've been working with the music teachers. We're about ready to put out another bid.
That was a scary number when it came in. Like $1 million we had all these damage instruments, so
Yeah.
we're keeping up with that.
Stay on top of that. Yeah, and I think Dan Roan's coming to the Audit and Finance Committee to kind of present his plan as far as that cycle for uniform replacement. And if you remember, a couple years back, we had to replace the padding for the pit at the track, which
That was an emergency thing that we didn't know about.
it was a surprise, right? So we kind of told Dan, no more surprises, right? Your job is to make sure that we inventory all the equipment, all the things we need, and we, put it on in some sort of cycle so the board can see it coming down the road so we can budget appropriately.
I mean, that was stupid. Well, I mean, it was. You didn't know that you were having problems with the pad 6 months ago or the last season? You know, why didn't it come?
Yeah, I don't know.
It was disruptive to bring it in the way it was brought in. I remember that. I mean, it just kind of, I think though with really big items that buildings and grounds, that this committee might decide to put on this list, to put on, to assign it a number and all that kind of thing. It just seems to me that in those meetings where we're going to talk about a big expenditure, like if we decide to do one of these bigger projects, that it should go to the audit and finance agenda as well, or have a dual meeting between the two so we could figure out that we're not blowing the budget out of the water. And I know Terry and I had dual meetings a lot, jointly. We had several last year that worked well.
May 20th.
Like a committee as a whole meeting.
May 20th, you're gonna have
MOAs.
Let's start at 3.
Yeah, well, 5 o'clock. We start at 5. Board meeting is at 7:30. That's the big thing. That jogged something, and I thought I was going to say, I'll wait till the end. But so Jared and I will go back, work on that matrix. We'll come up with this. We'll run our current capital reserve through that score, see where it comes out just as a test run.
Yeah.
We can tweak it. We'll bring it back to you.
Yeah.
And
It'd be useful to get these guys.
oh, absolutely, they're scoring it. Yeah, 100%. And I think the building principal needs to score it too, or at least,
Yeah, and it may be useful to see some of the, I'm concerned about taking averages, but let's see what happens.
Yeah, let's see how it turns out.
Mainly because I don't think my opinion of replacing a boiler in East Pike is worth as much as his opinion.
100%.
Yeah.
That's a really good point.
No, what I just didn't want to do is to be sitting here for 4 or 5 hours going through each one of these lists, trying to agree what numbers to put in there. So
But I also think the value to this is if we can get this system up and running, then it becomes a way, a process, a culture, or whatever, so that regardless of who's sitting in any of these seats, board, administration, maintenance, or whoever, then it's a way that you can effectively and efficiently come to these decisions without spending the 4 to 5 hours.
Well, it's gonna take a little bit of time to get it set up.
Yeah.
Yeah. But as things get added and done. And I would like to make sure that finance checks off on the high priority projects. And that they get actually built that year. That we don't have a high priority project, we finance it, and then 2 years later, it's still not
Still on
done.
the list. Yeah. Agreed.
So if we have something that we feel is that important, that the board actually gets it done.
actually, I mean, ultimately, the board has to approve those individual items when we're ready to actually spend the money. So.
Yeah. Okay, hey, I want to remind all the board members that tomorrow is the Aaron IU Gala. See, I know that's what he thought.
It's why he's reminding
Well, I'm
you.
reminding you. That is hosted at our senior high school. Registration is 5:15. There will be a lot of displays of student work, student activities, student talent. And a lot of the programs on display will be some of the results of our hard work of our teaching staff. There will be hors d'oeuvres in the upper commons, and coffee provided by our life skills program, and some piano music, and it'll be nice. And then we'll be moving upstairs for a fantastic 5-star gourmet dinner provided by Chartwell's, and more music and programming. So I hope everyone can attend that registered.
Black tie.
Didn't register. No, it's just business. Just business. No black tie. Be yourself.
What time is the dinner scheduled?
The dinner probably won't start until like 6:30-ish. But but don't miss the presentations. The kids and teachers
No, I
worked
understand.
hard on that. So
I understand.
but yeah. So if
I'm just, some days the bear, you eat the bear, and some days the bear eats you.
Right, exactly. So, but I just want to make sure, and I should probably send out a reminder email or something. That would be good of me to those who are not in attendance.
Anything else?
No, sir. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Julia, real quick.